Hi, Jack.
Hi.
Where have you gone? What have I done?
I'm here. Hello.
I can hear you. What, geezer?
I can see you fine. You look healthy, alive.
Ew.
And I'm eating cherries.
What you eating?
Cherries. Cheerio, cheerio, baby. Says, oh, here we go. Man up. Represent, yo. So there's two reasons why you might have a twitchy eye. So one is too much caffeine, and two, you're not getting enough sleep.
Well, it's definitely too much caffeine, I can confirm. I was driving in a car earlier.
What car?
I pulled up to a red light, my eye twitched, and I went, and hit myself in it. And I looked to the right, and there was a woman in that car. She was like that. Yeah.
Why are you drinking too much caffeine, Samuel?
Not too much.
And are you sleeping okay?
Yeah. I'm doing everything right, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might just be a trapped nerve. It could be anything.
Could be.
It's only the slightest little twitch. I've had it before.
Okay.
I do drink a lot of coffee, though. I cut down a lot, to be fair. I used to drink about 8 cups a day. Now I drink between 2 and 4.
They say 2 cups is ideal.
Yeah. Barry is you must have seen him on my stories. He done the DareToDip challenge all the way in Scotland.
Okay.
He lives up in Scotland.
Is that all we're going to give people?
Well, are we recording now?
Shut up! I'll just admit him.
Yes, I can hear and see you. Can you see me all right?
Certainly can, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good, man. My red light okay? Not affecting it?
Absolutely fine. Don't worry about
that. There's a story behind that red light, isn't there?
Yeah, mate, it's to get extra business, you know it?
Yeah. The red light district.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Hey, times are hard in January, you know that?
Well, I wouldn't rely on that if I was you, fella. I'm joking. There is genuine health benefits to that light you've got on, though, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, mate. It helps. Well, it blocks out the blue light. It's same on the screen as well. I've got a filter on that. I've got it on my phone. I've also got my red light glasses. They're a bit Jeffrey Dahmer sometimes, though, so I need to watch when I'm wearing them. So,
don't be taking no pictures of me, fella.
But yeah, so it helps you get to sleep at night. Really, starts to help you. What's the word I'm looking for? Down regulate from daytime to nighttime. So we should be running with nature, really. Seeing the sunrise in the morning, waking up. Getting that light into our eyes, and then same at night when the sun goes down, we should be starting to down regulate and get ready for sleep. But we're bombarded now with technology, with EMF, with blue light from phones, lights from the house. Everything's bright, and it confuses our body from when it's daytime, when it's nighttime. That's why we struggle to sleep at night, because our body doesn't know if it's daytime, nighttime, bedtime. So I try and I'm on a bit of a holistic journey. So I am. So I'm trying to get away from as much artificial things as I can and get as close to nature as I can, and running with my circadian rhythm. So that's why around the house and stuff, I try and get the red lights on. I try and down regulate with my phone, technology, Wi-Fi, stuff like that as much as I can. You know what I mean? We can't do it 100%, but something's better than nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, you've inspired me to look into all this, because before we done our live that you invited me on, I'd done a bit of research on the natural light getting into your eye in the mornings and everything. I didn't know anything about these lights that you've got, so it's definitely, I love trying new things and learning about new things. So you've inspired me to do that.
It's a hard one as well, because it's not one of the things that you put a red light and you think, oh, I feel great. It's just one of the things that you need to research on and do it consistently, and over consistently doing it, you'll get the benefits from it. You won't, not necessarily going to go to bed tonight and have 8 hours sleep and you'll be fine. You know what I mean? But over a period of time, same with getting up and seeing the sunrise is one of the most important things you can do for your health over a consistent basis. So as for chronic health, to reduce chronic health and later in life. But you do feel the benefits of that. When you see a nice sunrise in the morning, you feel great. You know what I mean? It's beautiful, it's magical. And that's why I try and do my dips at sunrise, because you're then habit stacking. You know what I mean? You're getting so many benefits in the same 15-20 minute period. And especially with you and the sea, you're then grounding as well. You're grounding with Mother Nature. You're offloading those electrons. You're picking up free electrons from the earth. There's just so many benefits to it. And the thing is, most people don't even realise all the benefits. They're feeling the adrenaline and they're getting the boost for that, the dopamine and everything. But then they don't know everything else. But they're still getting the benefits. You don't need to know them to know you're getting them. They just think.
Yeah, definitely.
But the more you look into it, the more you'll see how much you're doing it. In different times of day, you can get the different benefits or negative effects of it as well.
Yeah, it's all interesting stuff, mate. And speaking of the dips, thank you, by the way, for coming on. And this is Jack. I don't know if you've met. Have you met Jack before?
I've not, but I feel like I know him just through your Instas as well. That's the beauty of social media, isn't it? You feel like you know people.
Yeah, I get more views when I add Jack. That's a lie.
What can I say?
Nah. Yeah, Jack, Barry, Jack. Thank you for coming on. I wanted you to come on and talk about the dips. You've done the DareToDip December. You're very open on your Instagram, very inspirational bloke. I wanted you to come on and talk. And we'll start off. Well, just tell us a little bit about yourself, if that's all right, from the beginning, and then we'll get into you've done the DareToDip challenge, which I appreciate your support for. But give us a bit of a background about you, if that's all right.
So living in central Scotland, growing up, just I would say stereotypical young lad, mad about my football. Football was the main thing for me all through my life. And that was all my social circles, everything for the age of 8-year-old. I always played with a team. And that carried on until I was like 32. So everything I kind of knew was round about football, my mentality, my social circles, everything. And I was just... I would say just a normal lad, 14, 15-year-old, started going out sort of drinking and stuff. Didn't really enjoy school. Absolutely hated school, that sitting down in a classroom. I still hate it now as an adult going in a training course. I'm much more a practical, hands-on kind of person. I didn't really enjoy school too much. 14, 15, started finding alcohol and things with my friends, going out partying the weekend. But yeah, I'm glad that I always had my sport. My football was always the thing that kept me grounded. I wouldn't stay off a drink on a Thursday night for my work on a Friday, but I'd stay off on a Friday night for my football on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Priorities all wrong, but that was the thing that kept me grounded all through my life was my football, really. And I would have probably been a hell of a lot worse with drinking, drugs and stuff. If it wasn't for that. That kept bringing me back to pre-season. I would stay off the drink for 3 or 4 months and get fit. Through the season, I'd kind of get back on again. Near the end of the season, I would step away from it for the cup finals, winning leagues and stuff like that. So I was always able to sort of decide when I drank and didn't drink and stuff like that. So that was always kind of good that way. But when I was on it, I was on it. You know what I mean? It was 3-4 day benders, you know what I mean, on everything, not turn up to my work Monday, Tuesday. And like I said, but I'd make training on a Tuesday night. Just madness. Fit. I love my music as well. On music festivals, that's where I met my wife. I met her at Tea in the Park. I'm 38 now. I've got 2 kids. I've got a young son at 12 years old to a previous relationship, and I've got my daughter now who's 10 to my wife now. And yeah, I'm just present time now, just enjoying a much more holistic life. After, I would say, since I became a dad, that was probably when I really noticed my mental health probably when I noticed my mental health really being serious. That's when life gets serious for me at the age of 26. Before that, I was just a Jack the lad, out, do what I wanted, no responsibilities. Never really been in a proper relationship, anything too long term. So I kind of just did what I wanted when I wanted. So when I got a phone call, it was a one night stand really, or a casual relationship that was finished. And then 3 months later, I got a phone call to say I was going to be a dad. So it was like, yeah, like shit's getting real now. You know what I mean? So that's at the point where you decide you need to start taking responsibility for things. And that's when my life changed for the better in one regard, but then not really having the life experience of responsibility to then have a son in a toxic relationship and then becoming a single father and having to deal with all that. I think when you become a dad as well, you become very protective, and you want to protect not just your son, but your family and everything. So that was the point I just started bottling everything up, because I'd never really dealt with anything like that before either. I never had to really speak about my emotions before. So I didn't really know how to and didn't really know I needed to. You just bottle everything up, you protect everybody, you make sure you're the strong one, everybody's okay. And I was always, because I was Jack the lad, centre of attention, I was always a joker. Whenever my mood was slightly down, everybody was like, he's fucking crab at his end. You know what I mean? So I always felt I had to be up there. I had to be the one that was making everybody laugh and all that. So when I wasn't all right, I didn't really feel I was allowed to be, you know what I mean? But I didn't realise that at the time, just looking sort of back now how I was. I wanted to be the one that made everybody else happy, you know what I mean? Make everybody else laugh. And yeah, that was probably my demise then, but I didn't realise it until probably crisis point about 3 years ago, when 4 years ago, there was a period where there was a lot happening. Me and my missus, I cheated on my missus when we were first together and stuff, and that all came out just as the wee lass was born. We split up and we got back together, and it was a hard time. I decided I had to step away from friendships and stuff like that to keep me and my wife together. We were just boyfriend girlfriend at the time, you know what I mean? But I felt I had to make massive changes and prove to her that she was the most important thing to me. She didn't ask me to do that. I felt I had to do that. So I went from being like in this big social circle with all my friends and football and everything to then also almost isolating myself, which was the right thing to do at the time. But I didn't realise at that time how much that was going to affect me as well, because I was then really quite alone, you know what I mean? And that took its toll over the years. And then I just remember, like, it got to the stage I just remember just feeling down all the time. And I was in this, like, driving in a van, I would just be emotional and no why, just crying, you know what I mean? Because it was the only place I would be in the van for hours, driving up and down the length of the country. And I couldn't get out of my head, but I didn't, it was just all these things running through, whether it be like no being at my football or work or something I didn't want for my tea and not having the courage to stand up and say about it. You know, it was just all these stupid wee things all building up. And then I remember coming home from work and never wanting to be in silence, always having to put a radio on or a podcast on, or didn't want to sit in silence in case my wife asked me what was wrong. And I didn't want that question to come up because I didn't know the answer. And then locking myself in the toilet for 2 or 3 hours in the shower on, just bawling my eyes out, just no knowing what's wrong and no knowing who to turn to. Oh, still quite raw now.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, you think when that happens, you should know what's wrong with you. And when you don't know, you're scared to tell anybody because you're like, I don't know what's wrong. Why am I doing this? Like, on the external, though, all my life seemed to be very good. I was with my wife then, we had the kids, we were moving house, I was moving job, you know what I mean? Everything looked great, but in my head, life was just like so bad. I started making changes, though, like I'm changing my body. Everything was getting blamed on my work. My work was terrible, my environment was terrible, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until I like moved jobs, moved house, done all this, I realised, shit, I can't get away from this. You know what I mean? This is in me, you know what I mean? And I ended up having a bit of a break. I was driving up for London and I was just feel like if I just pull the van over, the van's trackered, and if I go for a walk in the Lake District, people will realise I'm missing. They'll have to come and find me. they'll find me, and then they're going to know something's wrong, so I can talk then. But then I was like, what if I trip? What if I fall? I don't want to die. I don't want to commit suicide. I just want to stop how I'm feeling. So I was like, right, I can't do that. So I just drove to my auntie's, who I was very, very close to, although I hadn't seen her for months because I'd avoided all my family because I didn't want anybody to see me, because I knew if people close to me would know something was wrong with me, and I didn't want them to know. So I'd avoided all these people, my mum, my aunt, but I drove to my auntie's anyway, and I just said to them, I was like, they're like, you all right? And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I burst out greeting, just like hysterical. It made no sense for about an hour. She phoned my wife, phoned my mum, they came down, and I just basically sort of blurted out. You know how it goes, Sam. You just blurt things out. You're not really making any sense, but you're getting all this stuff out, and it felt great. It just felt like a massive release. It was a lot of stuff.
Well off your shoulders.
Yeah, massively. But then the problem with that as well, once you do that, you think, yes, that's the weight off the world off my shoulder, I'm all good. Then you just go back to no really deal with anything again, don't you? I didn't change anything. I just said what I had to say and then went back to the same again. So this happened about 2 or 3 times. And then I just remember like my son having a bit of bother at school and that, and I'm going, you're doing the same thing all the time. You're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, he's repeating these same behaviours, and I'm asking him to change. I'm like, how can I ask him to change when I'm not changing? Like, I'm being a hypocrite. You know what I mean? So I was like, for him to change, his environment needs to change. I need to change. I want to change. Like, I remember as well, one of the main things was obviously seeing my son and me, seeing me and my son, like not being able to deal with his emotions, couldn't verbalise what was wrong with him, telling lies, didn't want to tell the truth. And I'm like, that's just 12-year-old me looking back, you know what I mean? With traits of 38-year-old me as well. So I was like, what do I do? So I just started kind of, I knew I'd been reading a lot, doing all these things, but everything was theory. I was taking no action. I was listening to all the right stuff, reading all the right stuff, had all the theory, but I was taking absolutely no action in my life. So I was like, there's no point. That's why you're not seeing any changes. So I just started I came across Wim Hof at that point. Don't know why, just probably the universe tell me that I needed to do it.
In mysterious ways.
It does, mate. So I just started doing cold showers, and just that was the first sense of really being out my head. You know what I mean? Just being present and not really thinking about anything. And then learning the breath work and learning about meditation a wee bit more, and just being able to just unpick the wires in my head a wee bit to make things a wee bit clearer, you know what I mean? And then that sort of went on to coming across Dougie Scott. So you've probably seen me mention him a lot in my stories and stuff like that. Dougie is an old friend or a friend of a friend, and he was an ex-commando, and he started he's a holistic health coach, and he was doing cold dips, and I hadn't seen Dougie in about 10 years either. And he came up my Instagram doing cold water. He was doing Sunrise Club, and I'm like, I wonder how that's happening. I'd messaged him going, that's brilliant, you're doing that. I'm doing Wim Hof. And we just started speaking over Instagram again. And then went out for my first dip with him on the 28th of December. It was about -6 breaking in with an axe. You know what I mean? It was just crazy, but the most beautiful. Oh, mate, it was the most beautiful sunrise you'll ever see, though. So that was me hooked.
Yeah.
But it turns out
I don't think the sunrise would make much difference if you're breaking into a lake with an axe.
It does, mate. Oh, mate, once you're in, man, it's beautiful. Honestly, it took us I wasn't in at the time, but it took them about 30 minutes to get in the water. They were standing in the water for about 20, 30 minutes breaking in, you know what I mean? Just madness. But once you're in, 5 minutes.
That was your first cold water dip where you had to break through the oh, that's bad.
Yeah,
I thought I was crazy.
You don't know what to expect at that point, do you? I'd only just done showers and stuff like that, so you didn't know what to expect. So that was my first one. But it turns out Dougie as well, he was a holistic health coach doing cold water therapy, but he was also running a club called Man Clan, which obviously we are a part of now. And it was just like, I needed to meet him again. You know what I mean? Like everything that Dougie was doing was just like that was the first step in me actually starting to understand me more and get out of my head and start to improve my life again, or start to improve my head. My life is already good. I just wasn't in a position to enjoy it. You know what I mean? And I was bringing everybody else down, because the people round about you, as much as you try and mask it, the people closest to you know there's something wrong. They're just catastrophizing in their head what's actually wrong with you. You can't hide it. The people nearest and dearest, and you know yourself. Once you've been in that journey yourself, you can see it in others as well. You know straight away. You know the red flags.
So,
you know what I mean?
I can relate so much to your story, but there's parts of your story where you're talking as well that I know, Jack, you'd be able to relate to a lot of that, because there was a lot of similarities in Barry's story to yours as well. So I think this will benefit a lot of people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say more than that. I just totally agree. That's a fucking first. You don't normally agree with me.
No, I definitely felt like those kind of those emotional moments where you just had to, everything just had to come out all at once, and it felt like a real release. I think I really get where you come from that, because you build yourself up, you get yourself into this routine, the norm, everything's going fine, but it's not fine. But you've got to just keep going, and then all of a sudden one day you just like, enough is enough. It just has to come out. I suppose how in that moment, how did your was it your partner that you offloaded to? I mean, how did they respond in that moment?
Pretty shocked, because obviously I hadn't said nothing that long. Then I was saying something for last week, something for 10 years ago, something from 3 years ago, something from 2 minutes ago. It was just like, it made no sense. And it was like, it was all these things that we hadn't dealt with, and some of them were silly little arguments, or not even arguments, conversations that I didn't say what I wanted to say in that. And my subconscious, it was eating away at me, but I didn't know that at the time until this all started coming out. So, but there was a lot of going on as well at the time with the family and with my wife and my mum and stuff. And I just felt like there was a lot of situations, whether it be work, whether it be my wife, my family, me and my ex, my son. I felt like I was a referee in about 10 matches, and I was stuck in the middle, and I was just getting bombarded with everybody, because I was
sucking up all this negativity like a sponge, and it just turned into a ticking time bomb and exploded in the end.
But I made a lot of these situations worse as well, because I was maybe taking information from my mum and giving my wife some of it, because I didn't want to maybe make it worse or hurt her feelings. And same with my wife was saying stuff with me, and I'd give my mum some of the information because I didn't want to hurt her. Whereas it's going to hurt them anyway, you know what I mean? Because we didn't deal with any situation. So all these things that could have been dealt with didn't get dealt with because I wasn't dealing with the situation correctly. So I ended up just sitting that day and going, listen, you two need to sort your shit out, and I'm nothing to do with it, because you two need to verbalise, because I can't do it anymore. And they sat for about 5 minutes, had argument, or longer than that, but had some arguments or some discussions, realised what was bothering them, and they both had valid points, and it was kind of sorted out there and then. And I felt, and I was like, I can't be the go-between all the time. Like, I can do it for some things, but sometimes we just need to be adults and go direct to the source, you know what I mean? And I've started doing that quite a lot with things. Like, I don't take on people's problems as much. I was like, if you've got a problem with him at work, go and speak to him, you know what I mean? And things like that. Hard being a manager now, you know what I mean? But it's just like, you just end up taking everything. You try and protect everybody, but no telling people the whole truth doesn't protect them. It just makes situations worse, you know what I mean? And because I wasn't telling people everything, I was probably worried that things were going to come out, and it was on me then, you know what I mean? So yeah, there was just a lot of that, and I forgot, I lost my train of thought there.
How long ago was this that it all comes to a head?
That was when that happened. That was about 4 years ago. But like I says, I didn't really do much after that. Like, it took probably another sort of breakdown like that for me to then go, right, this has been probably over a 6-year period where this has happened maybe every 2 years. I've had just a breakdown, and it's all came out in anger, frustration, emotion, and then I bottle up again. So I was like, I need to find a way for this not to keep repeating itself, because it's going to ruin my marriage.
What was that way that you found where you don't bottle it up now? What was that?
that was finding probably, well, cold water, finding Dougie with Man Clan. And I went into Man Clan, I think it was maybe the 10th of January or something like that. So I done my first cold water dip the 28th. And then the January, I went into my first Man Clan meeting, and that was the same. I was on quality time. I was driving, and I was like, "Do I go in the meeting?" I was like, "Just go on." And I opened my laptop up, went on my phone, and just went into the meeting. It was just a bit like this. It's an online room, and guys were talking, and I'm just, it was about four or five guys that were on, and it's just simple questions like, "How's your week been? Is there anything you want to get off your chest?" And that was it. And the guys had spoke, my week's been fine, usual stuff, work's been stressful, newborn baby, blah, blah, blah. And it came to me, and it was again, I went like, I'm no right, lads. And I just broke down. And I was like, and I was so close to just shutting the phone down, because I was so embarrassed, because the only one I knew on that was Dougie. And I was like, just that embarrassment in front of 4 other men, they just breaking down. But the 4 of them, the way they treated me and the energy for the room was just, and even over a Zoom call, was unbelievable. They're like, "We've all been there." We're like,
yeah, that's why.
Like,
That's
you know what
why
I mean?
they understood. Yeah,
exactly. And like one of the guys who just spoke for about 15 minutes was like, this is only my 3rd meeting. He says, "I was you 3 weeks ago." And I was like, "Whoa, like that's what I needed to hear." They were just sparkies, you know what I mean? Like guys working in Aldi, just normal hairy ass guys, you know what I mean, that you just need to see. No a therapist, no a professional, nothing, just guys that are going through exactly what you've been through.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and we've said that before, and recently the people that can help you the most are the people that have been through it and lived it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why you got the help. That's so good, so powerful to open up to people, and to find something like that is brilliant, because you open up and say how you're feeling, and someone goes, "Yeah, I've been there. This is what I did." And even if you don't take their advice and do it their way, it will spark something in your brain to make you think, "Oh," and then you start getting the answers the more you talk about it. You know what I mean?
And what they done that day as well, because again, it was just sort of verbal diarrhea. It was like this and that, and I was trying to say it through hysterics, and Dougie's just like, "Listen, the historical stuff, we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that in time. Let's just, how are you today? Like, let's see how you're today. Let's get to tomorrow. What can we do to make tomorrow better?" You know what I mean? And it's like the historical stuff, it's historic. We'll get to that. We'll break that down. And that was massive for me, just to be able to just go, right, how am I feeling? How's my day been? Actually, how has my day been? My day's actually been all right. Like, you know what I mean? Just being able to find that positive in amongst all the craziness, you know what I mean? And just being able to break it down day to day and look to the future. And then when I was ready to start unpicking what had happened in the past, and I'm still doing that now, you know what I mean? But that's why, like, even now, like, we've got Man Clan up and running again. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because I know that was like the first step on the ladder to me being able to speak about my emotions, you know what I mean? And no being ashamed to break down and cry. Like, I still get emotional, even speaking about it now. I get emotional, but it doesn't bother me anymore, because it's just, that's how I am, you know what I mean? And I'm not embarrassed about that, and there's still a lot of raw emotion there, and that's just life. And
it makes you feel better, Barry. I cry at adverts.
Yeah, mate, I'm murder for that as well. You know what I mean? And I'm a sucker for a musical, mate. Mary Poppins gets me every time, man. You know what I mean?
If I'm watching a film with my 2 daughters and something sad happens, both their heads pop round to see if I'm crying straight away, and they both roll their eyes when I'm crying.
That's me. That's my daughter as well. She just bursts out laughing. You know what I mean? But that's me as well. But I'm very passionate about it, because I know my experiences can help other people. It's people, I know a lot of guys will resonate with me, with my background and stuff. And just like I say, I'm just a normal guy off the street. I'm nothing special. And that's what people need to need to realize there's help there, and like how, and like, you don't realize until you say that first thing how important talking actually is. Like I say, you don't need to know the answers. You don't need to know what's wrong. Just saying, "I'm not okay, I don't feel right," just feels a massive weight off your shoulders. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable. You know?
And it lights a fire on your ass when you get help, and then you've got some answers that can help others. You want to use your experiences to help others as well, don't you? And I loved what you said about am I all right today, because I say this to lots of people on the phone. I talk to people about mental health and about addiction and stuff all day, every day. I speak to a lot of people, and I always say, we spend too much time worrying about things that haven't happened or have been and gone, and we worry about the past too much, and we're focusing on our future too much that we forget that was right in front of us, which is the present and the present day. And if you just focus on here and now, none of that stuff matters so much. You know what I mean? And that is where true happiness is, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. You're either stressed because of an event in the past, or you're anxious about an event in the future that's not even happened yet. So if you deal with the present properly, then that event in the future is probably going to be better anyway. You know what I mean? Our mind just makes, it's the same. Well, bring it back to the cold. Worry about it every time we're going to do it. You know what I mean? I overthink it. I'm like, this is going to be horrible. And the thought is always much worse. I'm like, I don't know why I was worried about that. As soon as you get in and get the shoulders under, you're like, why was I worried every day? Why do I worry about this?
Yeah,
you know what I
mean?
And that's what we do with life. You know what I mean? We catastrophize things in our head. And we make things so much worse. Whether that's a phone call to somebody, whether it's an email, whether it's going and picking your son up and thinking about what's going to happen at the door and stuff. 9 times out of 10, we're either trying to prepare ourselves for something, but our minds are very powerful, and we end up creating that situation because we've already thought about it in our head. Whereas if we visualize a better outcome, you know what I mean, then the better outcome's going to come.
I think it's a survival technique as well. I think we automatically try and think a worst case scenario so it's comfortable when it happens, but you need to remind yourself that you're doing that so you don't over analyze it, dwell on it, and become in a state of panic and stress.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, that exactly how you just described it there. I mean, I'm coming up to my 5th year anniversary of being in my place of work. The amount of times I've gone through stressful situations or high pressure situations or anxious situations, and literally 100% every time they've been fine. But still, when something new comes up, I still have those moments and those little panic moments. I think, oh shit, like, am I going to be all right here? And there's like that fight or flight moment. I think, can I just avoid this? Or no, just keep going. And then I have to remind myself, I go, no, I've been through worse. I've had similar. They've always been fine. Everything always works out all right in the end. And if it's not, then you'll just get past that and you'll deal with it anyway, because that's what we do.
Definitely. I just not yesterday, day before, I had to do a speech thing at a recovery group I go to, and I didn't want to do it. But before, I've worked myself so much up and overstressed, overanalyzed, and worried where I've got there, and I haven't been able to talk, and I've tripped over my words and everything. Whereas this time, I didn't want to do it, but I knew with what we've just been talking about that I'm overanalyzing it in my head, and it's not going to be as bad as I thought. And with going in there with that knowledge, it actually turned out all right. Do you know what I mean? So it is a learning curve as well, but stepping outside your comfort zone as well. On the other side of fear is growth. So all these things that you don't want to do, if you just do it anyway, that's the same as what you were saying. That's why the cold water trains your brain to deal with that, because each morning you don't want to do it, but you push through and you do it anyway. Do you know what I mean? And you take it with you onto your later life, and then what we're talking about in different situations with work, with talking in public and stuff like that. So
I mean, the cold's mad, because I don't know how you use that, but certainly how I've learned, because we went into the law, because I was learning with Dougie, who is massive with holistic health, and he's a breathwork coach and things like that. I was taught when we go into the water how to breathe, how to stay calm in that stressful situation. Now, everybody does it differently. You might run into the sea and it's just like, this is great, and it's all adrenaline and things like that. I know other guys the Max Colby group, who are a great bunch, but they're jumping off of piers at midnight, and it gives me the fear. But people do it for different reasons, and I've been taught that it's to build up your stress. Well, because of how I was as well, I wasn't dealing with life very well, so I was needing to find out how to deal with stress better. So into the water, your body's into panic mode, and then you're just using your breath just to calm yourself down, get yourself into the parasympathetic state, and just being able to sit and go, I'm in a stressful situation, but my breath is calming me down.
And you're building your brain to deal with that. In an ideal world, that's how we would want to do it, enter the water. But because we live by the sea, you don't always get that. But some days the waves are taller than Jack. But you do get benefits with it from that. It doesn't do much for your anxiety when the sea's like that, but it still gives you, you're still up in the day, like you get in the water and the waves, it's choppy and that, and it's good fun. You start your day off laughing, but you don't get as much benefit, I don't feel, as like when you were saying, if you go into a lock, you get your breathing under control, you breathe through it, deep breaths in and out, and then you drop down just below your chest and you get your breathing back under control, and that's where the real growth is. Because that it puts you in a state of fight or flight, and you control it. You get your breathing back under control, and that's what the real power is for me.
Yep, and that's where in life now, if I get a phone, and I naturally do it now, when my phone goes at work, it's like it's an injury or anybody. It's a big deep breath in. It's a couple of breaths before I answer that phone, because it depending on you can see who's phoning now. If it's an engineer or that, you don't offer phoning with problems, or if it's the ex or anything, it's like taking a deep breath, get the blood pressure down, get the heart rate down before you answer. And it just takes you into that calm state. And whether it's, like I say, a phone call, an email, whether it's somebody's cut you up in the motorway, I'm just so much calmer now because I know it's just natural. It's like everything that happens is like me stepping into that cold water. It's just like, boom, I'm in control. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. It's still hard. I mean, I had a situation the other day that I dealt with the wrong way. I reacted rather than responding, and I was raging with myself because I gave a person the in to get to me. You know what I mean? Because I reacted, and before normally I'd take a couple of breaths, 5 minutes, think about it, and then make the phone call. Whereas I was straight on, boom, and I went that old way, and I was raging because that person gave it to me big time, and I was like, I created that. You know what I mean? I let that happen, and I let my guard down. I was very disappointed myself, you know what I mean? But we're human, it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's going to be good and bad days.
But I could have went again. The ego could have kicked in and I could have fired back in anger, you know what I mean? But it was just like, take it, calm down, reset. And there's so many different breathing techniques for different reasons, for whether you want to stimulate yourself and you can use breath just as a stressor. I mean, the Wim Hof breathing, which is a mixture of like Tumo breathing, and he's kind of mixed it up. That's a stressor. You know what I mean? That alone is just like going in the water. It's you're hyperventilating, you're raising your heart rate and stuff. So that's a controlled stressor as well. So that's just like the cold. You're putting yourself in a controlled stress environment. And then you're down regulating again with your breath, with slowing your breath down and stuff. So breath's the most important thing in our life.
Used to, doesn't it? It takes a bit of getting used to.
Yeah,
it made me feel a bit anxious at first. Me and Jack done it with a bloke that's very much into it. Do you remember Jack Marcin?
Yeah, Marcin, the Iceman. Yeah, no, we did it around his house, and I get it. Those first few times you do it, you get like that feeling of anxiety and this real sort of rush coming through you, and you kind of panic a little bit, wondering what the hell's going on, like you're going to pass out. But
and that's what always put me off doing it before. And you messaged me and said, "Oh, don't worry about it. You will feel a bit anxious at first." So I'd like to thank you for that, because that encouraged me to stick with it. And now it's part of my daily routine, and I really get something from it.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, if you think about it, see if you are naturally, like, say you're thinking about going to do something, or somebody cuts you up in the motorway or anything, what you'll do in that instant, if you're not thinking about it, you'll be breathing through your mouth, you'll get raised in a heart, you'll be breathing into your chest. So that's what you're doing. So that's why you're feeling anxious, because that's how you would be if you're getting chased by a lion. You're in a situation, you're going to start fighting. So you're doing that. But if you're doing that daily and not too much, you're acutely doing a controlled stress, you know what I mean, to your body. So when these things happen, it doesn't hit you as hard because you've already raised your threshold for that. Your threshold was down there before, but because you're doing that daily, you're knowing what that feels like in your body, and then you're learning to control it by your other breath work. Then when something happens unexpectedly, your body isn't as shocked because you can deal with something up here now. So you're training yourself to be able to deal with more stressful situations. Life now is so, as a human beings, aren't used to this. We're used to as our ancestors is going out and hunting for food and maybe getting chased by a lion or another hunter or something like that. Whereas now our life is constant stress. You know what I mean? Whether it's our light environment, whether it's our work, it's our relationships, not being in time, like everything is, we're up there all the time. You know what I mean? And we're no used to it. And that's why there's so much mental health now. You know what I mean? Like we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, constantly on our phones. Like my kids now think they're bored when they're off their phone for 2 minutes because they're not being entertained, they're not visually got something in front of them. And I say to them, you don't know what bored is, you know what I mean? You're not chasing your mate down the street with a stick with shite on it, you know what I mean? That's bored. You know what I mean? But like even my parents before that would used to say to me, so through the years, it's just we're constantly want entertained, we don't want to be in silence. So when we actually sit and be alone with our thoughts now, people are like, shit, I don't like this, no used to this now. You know what I mean? But that's why we need to, by choice, put ourselves in discomfort. You know what I mean? We need to do controlled ones because we're constantly in a state of panic with things that we can't control. But that's also why we need to learn breath work for how to combat that. You know what I mean?
It's a very healthy way of living as well. I believe it oxidates your blood, which prevents stuff like cancers and that breeding, from what I've read and that as well. So there's other health benefits to it as well. Essentially, the health benefits are pretty much the same as cold water, from what I believe.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. They're both activating your nervous system in different ways. You know what I mean? And you're controlling the response for your nervous system from like your body. You're controlling it with your breath. I mean, the breath's the most important thing in the world. It's the first thing we do when we come into life, and it's the last thing we do when we leave. But we are chronic overbreathers. So we don't, everybody thinks it's the most natural thing we do. Yeah, we don't have to think about it, but to do it properly, you need to think about it. And we should, nose for breathing, mouth for eating, that's how it should be, but we're constant mouth breathers. That's why we're dehydrated. That's why we're ill all the time. Like our nose has natural filters. So when we breathe, it catches germs and stuff like that and viruses and stops it going into the body. Whereas if we're breathing in through our mouth, there's nothing to stop that. It also, you know what it's like if you go out for a run in winter and you get a tight chest, you know what I mean? The cold air going in and it hurts your chest. Whereas if you breathe through your nose hairs and your filters and everything in that heats the breath up before it goes into the lungs. So it doesn't hurt like that. You know what I mean? So when you actually learn how to breathe properly, then it mitigates a lot of problems. I mean, there's so much science on it; it's unbelievable.
I have heard that before. It's meant to be a lot. You're meant to try and get in the habit of breathing in through your nose.
I tape my mouth up at night. I put a 3M tape on my mouth at night, and I put a strap in my nose to open my airwaves up. And it's so I breathe through my nose, and the difference in sleep is unbelievable.
I would panic if I strapped my mouth up at night.
Yeah, I thought that's that way, but see, even this. You don't have to tape it. It's not like full over. It's not like fun time. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, that sounds kinky, mate.
You don't have to go with a full mask. You know what I mean? But see, if you just put a wee strip over there, it's just enough to pierce the lips, and you can still breathe in through the mouth if you want.
I'll still be chatting shit when I Jack.
But I mean, it's not.
I've made one of these smoothie things that Jack knows about, but this one is extra thick. I'll put all my turmeric and everything in it. Do you drink anything like that?
Yeah, turmeric. So I've read a lot on turmeric as well. It's meant to be one of the best things for your health. So it is.
Turmeric. This consists of turmeric, wheatgrass powder, beetroot juice, black pepper, because we can't absorb the turmeric without the black pepper. I've tried to get Jack on them before and I've not sold it to them, and this one's not going to sell it to them either because it's actually like mud. There's avocado in there and that as well. It's got all your healthy fats and that in it, but it does actually make you feel really good once you've drunk it. It's just not pleasant.
Yeah, for full health, mate, you've got to go for everything. That's why I'm like, holistic is whole health. So that's your environment, and that's your friendships, your relationships, your work, your light, you know what I mean, what you're consuming on social media, to your nutrition, you know what I mean, everything, you know what I mean, it's just the whole thing, and you can't have one without the other, you know what I mean, you need to be looking at everything, but it's like you can't out-train a bad diet, you know what I mean, like gut health as well. There's a lot on gut health now as well, how important that is, especially for brain fog and depression and stuff like that. There's so many receptors and things in our gut, and they're learning more and more about how important what we put into our bodies
Well, it's
is.
connected. Your brain and your gut is connected, isn't it? But
Yep.
before we get on to all that, I just wanted to speak to you about you took part in DareToDip December. You smashed that challenge, mate. I've missed seeing your mug in the mornings with your little updates and everything. I appreciate your support. How did you find it, and how often do you do cold water therapy normally?
I do, so I make sure I have a cold shower every day. Like every time I have a shower, I always finish on cold. That's just sort of what I do, and plus it makes me feel better coming out, just a bit cooler. But I try and do a dip in either my tank or the locks at least once a week. But the last year I've been doing it sort of every other day. And then I've had a few stints where I've done it maybe 4 or 5 days, but that's the first time I've done it for, so I've been doing it for 2 years. It was 2 years on the 28th of December. Nice. But that's the first time I've done 31 days, that length of time. I think the longest before that was 7, and that was like summertime. So that was a big mental battle for me, especially in December, with that being the busiest time of the year for me with work.
There was one morning where you were nearly breaking a shovel on the ice, weren't there? You had to do it later on in the day because it was so thick of ice. Like, I know it's cold. We know it's cold in Scotland, don't we, Jack? We're in there, it was cold here, but that was another level up there, it looked like. Yeah,
it was like, and I was just about waking the neighbours up and everybody else, so I had to stop firing into. They must have thought somebody was breaking into their back window or something like that.
Love you, don't they?
So I was like, I'm going to have to stop this, and I was gutted because I'm so into doing it at the right time. I'd rather do it 4 in the morning than 4 in the afternoon because it starts messing with my sleep. It's like having a coffee, you know what I mean? Well, it's like, actually, I think it's like 450%. It can up your dopamine, you know what I mean? So it's like, I like probably taking a dip in coffee, you know what I mean? So that's why I was like, I don't want to do it. But then I was like, once it's like everything else, once is not going to wreck 2 years of bad work, you know what I mean? Hard work, sorry. So it was like, I need to do the challenge. But then I thought about it, I was like, I could have just went for a shower, you know what I mean? But I had it in my head that I was going to do 31 dips, and that's what I was doing. And with you going into the North Sea every day, I was like, nah. Yeah, I mean, the least I can do is go into a tub, and that's what I was thinking. I was speaking to people, I was like, there's levels to this. I mean, Gary's going to a walk himself just about every day. Yous are going into the North Sea. They are getting slapped.
I'm so proud of him as well, because I know he struggled on some days and as well, but he pushed through it, and it's called a challenge for a reason, because it's challenged, you know what I mean? And for him to get motivated and you to get motivated on your own, we had a group of people down there, but you had to go into that tub on your own every morning, and Gary had to go into that lock on his own some mornings, and just get up and do that every day. I'd take my hat off to both you boys, mate.
Yeah, that's why, like, midweek it was a battle. I mean, I think one of the days I was in at 4:30 in the morning because I had a drive north, you know what I mean? And it was just, but it's like once you're out and you've committed, it's fine. It's that thought process when that alarm goes off, and it's like, it's that choice, isn't it? Do I snooze it? Do I put it off? But I think as well with the challenge, it's just like, right, this is what I'm doing now. This is my life for the next 31 days. You know what I mean?
How did you feel on day 31?
Bit of an anticlimax, mate. To be honest, I was like, I don't know if it's, but I think it was because I'd love to have been with Gary and that, you know what I mean? But I was up at the lodge with friends and that, and it was a beautiful setting. But I think I've just done there myself. Like, this is 31 days. Like, I don't know if I don't know. You just expect a different feeling, you know what I mean? So it was a wee bit an anticlimax, but then like,
you've got to be careful with a challenge as well. We've discussed it before. After when I've done that year-long one, me and Jack spoke about it, and I had to put stuff in place once I completed it, because I knew that after you get a high at the peak, and then there's always a crash after. Even after doing this DareToDip December, I noticed I felt a bit flat for a couple of days after. I was still doing cold showers and everything, but it's because you've determined mindset, go.
You've reached that goal. Tyson Fury talks about it very well. Like, it's that with sportsmen, elitesmen, they've got a goal, like whether it's winning a World Cup or a world title, and they get there, and it's like, my whole life. I mean, we were 31 days. It's not like my whole life towards that, but you've reached a point, and you're like, I expect you have an expectation that you're going to feel great and everybody's jumping out and going, yeah, she's great. Yeah. And it's just like, you've not got that. So like you say, you need to be careful. But what's been great is I kind of spoke about it today on the group chat with the guys. And I was like, felt a bit of an anticlimax, guys. Like I was saying, and then like the guys on the group coming and going, by the way, you've got to realise what you've actually done there. That was an unbelievable challenge, like mentally tough. Like you've inspired people, like, and like actually looking back in it now, I'm feeling really proud and happy about it. It was just at the time, it was just a bit, but it's not that. I was in the water that morning. And I was like, 31 days, I feel like I'll commit to anything now. Like I can achieve anything doing that. And then at 2 o'clock that day, I was hit with the flu and I was like, I couldn't even wipe my own arse. You know what I mean? It's like, like I can't achieve anything, you know? Like life comes at you fast, man.
I love that. Well, it's meant to be good to boost your immune system. It clearly didn't work.
You know what I think it is? I think it's a lot to do with, like I says, December's such a busy time for me to keep me going with work, to keep me going with the challenge, and then obviously the times I was doing it. And then I think I spoke before, like the run up to Christmas is very stressful with me, with having my wee boy to an ex and stuff like that. That anxiety and that stress. So it's a hard time. So I think when I got to the end of that, I think my body just went, right, it's time for you to recover, and we're going to make you go well, because if you don't, you're going to keep going. And it's almost but
to get the benefits from for your immune system, you only need like 12 minutes of cold exposure a week, apparently. And when you're doing the challenge of 31 days, you probably get a bit run down. You're open to a bit more of getting ill and whatnot. But it's still a challenge is a challenge, and I need them in my life. And Jack does as well. And you strike me as the sort of character that needs to get stuck into challenges and get big.
See, that's where I've struggled since I stopped playing football. That was my drive for everything. Like I kept fit for my football. I mean, I was always a team player. So like when I started doing the cold water and doing them myself, I was doing stuff. I hated going to the gym myself. I hated, because I always done stuff as a team. You know what I mean? So when I lost that, although I understand why professional football players and sportsmen, when they finish the game, end up like in the dark, you know what I mean? Like, because they've lost everything, like all their social circles was around, and I was the same, and I was only at a low level, but everybody, like all anybody ever spoke to me was football. That's all my social circles and everything. So when I lost that, it was like somebody coming out of the army, they lose their identity, and that's what I felt like with football. So that was another aspect of when my mental health took a bit of a dive. It was like, who am I? I'm me bad as a football player, you know what I mean? I'm the captain of a team, I'm a coach, I'm a manager, you know what I mean? That's like, I was involved in football so much. Like when that left, I found it very difficult to do stuff just for me. But that's why I love, like, see, like you're saying, how did I get motivated for a challenge? Because I felt like I was part of a team again. You know what I mean? Although we weren't direct, we were still messy. I knew, like, me posting that, and what helped me as well with like Gary and stuff like that, I knew I was going to be the first one in the morning to do it. So I knew if I'd done it, then I would inspire Gary to do it. So that was me, like, as like for a football point of view, that was me being a captain, leading for the front. You know what I mean? So I had that aspect again. So I felt like I was part of a team. And
I loved your stories each day. Win the morning, win the day, or you'll say, and you got the hats and everything.
That was a great present for Davey. I wasn't expecting that. So I'm like, yes, man, that's me, an influencer, and I've got my own merch. You know
yes, mate.
Now, mate.
I've been winding my daughter up about that so much, man. It's been so funny. Just like she walks by me in the house, and I'm like, just on the phone to my followers, that like, win the battle, win the day, link in my bio for my merchandise. And she's like, you're so cringe.
I'm glad it's not just my kids.
Exactly. Barry, I just wanted to ask you, obviously, through the experience that you've had and sort of where you've got to in your life now, if anyone's tuning into this and they're relating to your story, or they're relating to things that you went through that led you to where you are today, what bit of advice would you give people? If there's one thing that you'd really like want to instill into people to help them?
One thing is trust the people round about you. I think we underestimate how much help we have round about us when we're in that dark place, and we feel we've not got anybody and anybody. We feel although we've got people round about you, you feel very lonely. And I think we underestimate how much people will help us if we allow them to help us. Like, I've got so much support round about me, and my circle hasn't changed that much, but I've allowed them in, you know what I mean, because I've opened up. And the reason my wife couldn't help me is because I wouldn't talk to her and tell her what was wrong. But since I've been able to communicate with her, and like, she's been an absolute rock for me, you know what I mean? So it's just finding somebody, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a man clan, whether it's an old friend, a doctor, just speak to somebody. Like, you don't understand how powerful that first conversation will be. And like I says, we've got the man clan, but I don't care who people go to, as long as they speak to somebody. Like, doesn't matter. Like, Mark, I don't know if you know Mark Taylor, one of my close friends now. He's a holistic health coach as well. He's an ex-heroin addict. He was a heroin addict for the age of 13 to 26. And he's now in the space of the last 7 years, he started his own business. He's a holistic health coach. He is a sponsor at obviously AA and stuff like that. He's now married. He's got a kid in the way. If Mark can turn his life around with what he's been through, then anybody can have help. It doesn't matter how deep you are. You know what I mean? You can turn your life around, but it starts with you. You need to want help. You need to want to do the work. And like I says, there's people that got a worse life than me, but everybody's feelings are valid. Doesn't matter. You don't have to compare yourself to anybody else, but just be kind to yourself, man. Everybody deserves to have a good life. Doesn't matter what you've done in the past. You deserve to have a good future. You know what I mean? So just reach out to somebody. Social media is an amazing thing if you allow it to be. And if you find the right people, you'll know it yourself, Sam. Strangers are amazing.
Yeah.
If you go into the sobriety, the sober community, stuff like that, and even the cold water community, if you actually speak to somebody, I've had a lot of people just reaching out to me, just asking how I am. You wouldn't be one of them, Sam. It's incredible. You know what I mean? There's so many good human beings out there. You know what I mean? And if the one's round about you aren't, you can find one. You know what I mean? But just have that courage to reach out and realise that anything that's going on in your life can be spoke about and can be helped. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what you've done.
It's great advice, mate. And thank you so much for coming on and being a guest on Dare to Talk, mate.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been an honour.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. And we'll catch up soon.
Definitely.
We're coming up to Scotland. We've already spoken.
Yeah, these are definitely coming up.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Lovely to meet you, Barry. Thank you for sharing the story, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
Take care, Barry. Thank you.
That was really good, man. I like Barry a lot. He's you can tell he's been through a lot, and I think he's got himself into a really good place now. But
an inspirational bloke, and he's passionate about helping others, which I love.
Yeah, very passionate. He can talk, but it's good, man. He knows.
That's fucking pot and kettle black, isn't it? Proceed.
But yes, no, Barry's quality. I think he's. Yeah, I think what he's done up there. I think he, with this, I like the sound of that man clan and kind of the people that he's inspiring and the people that he's meeting and talking with. Very, very good stuff. Really is, and like we've all said, us obviously we've got Man Up down here with Dan, and you've got like Andy's Man Club going on like all around the UK and whatnot. As just trying to bring that stigma bubble down and making it open out there. I mean, that's all you can do. That's all we can do, and we're a small part of that as well. You know.
Exactly, mate. Well, we're a big part. I had a little wobble at New Year's.
Yes, mate, you did, didn't you? You did.
Well, not a wobble. It was tough. I went to a house party with me kids and around friends, and they had all their kids there, and I wanted to get involved, and I wanted to be part of the party, and they were playing beer pong, and obviously I'm not going to drink any of it, but they said get involved and play and nominate other people to drink, which is fine. But then the ball was going in beer, and then I was getting passed back to me. I had beer on my hands. It was sticky. I could smell it. I was getting washed in my hands.
Not good at all.
So I then isolated myself, went into another room, and I thought, now I'm being a party pooper. All these emotions and thoughts going through my head, and I felt really uncomfortable, even though I was with people I loved. And and for a split second, I thought to myself, I know what would make me unwind if I had a beer, which I do not ever want to do again. So yeah, I said to my daughters, I want to get going, and they're with their mates and their kids, and they said, well, we've got to see New Year's in. And they went off, and I stuck to it another hour and a half, and then yeah, it just weren't for me. And I went up to my daughters, and I was like, "Daddy's struggling a little bit here." I've always been honest with them. They ran to the door straight away, put their shoes on, and then they went in and thanked everyone for having them. And they both grabbed me by my hand and took me out of the party. And that makes me want to cry now. But they're good girls. And then we went to my mum and dad's. My sister and nephew were there, and we saw the New Year in with them and played some board games and watched Jules Holland, is it? And lots of fireworks out the window, and that. It was really nice. And I felt a bit flat for a couple of days after that, but I think it was a mixture of Christmas being over, the dip challenge being over, all that going on in my head and that. But yeah, last couple of days felt really positive and back to myself. So.
Well, I think the good thing is, mate, is you did get through it.
Yeah,
you had those feelings, but you got through it, and that's what counts, mate. Yes, you felt a little flat past that point, but
I spoke to someone else in recovery today, and it just really hit me. Like they said, you got the power now to walk away, where I was powerless over it before, and that really hit home. Do you know what I mean? So it's very positive.
That strength there, mate. That's there.
And I was being very hard on myself. When you look back at it now, there's a lot of positives there, and I've done really well. And all I was doing was focusing on the one negative feeling. So
yeah, I tried telling you that the following day, didn't I? When you were on the phone, I said, mate, there is positives there. You know, yes, you've had those feelings, but fuck me, who wouldn't in that situation, mate?
It's a learning curve, and now it's part of my armour marching forward. Do you know what I mean? So, what did you do? New Year's.
Jesus, that was terrible. That was a terrible transition, Samuel. But yes, no, I had a very lovely New Year's, and I suppose I can talk a little bit more openly about it because I posted some pictures on my Instagram and whatnot. So,
is it official?
Well, I mean, it's official. I'm seeing someone. I suppose.
Nice.
I'm not putting an official tag on it. But it is on my social media.
That's an official, literally.
It's social media official. Let's put it like that. All right.
Well, that's it then. That's official. I'll buy a hat. I've been best man 3 times. That's something I'm proud of. 3 years in a row I was best man. I'll just use one of them speeches. I'll just cross the names out. Put yours there. I love a wedding.
Anyway, let me continue.
Go on.
I had so I went up north, was in Newcastle, Hexham, Tynemouth, really, really good. Just such a lovely
grew up.
Well, it's funny enough, I did actually go to Biker.
Did you?
And I was singing the theme tune the whole time I was there.
Yeah, love.
Biker. No, I'll need to stop that because she'll get on to me. But I had a lot of fun and celebrating the New Year's in a completely different part of the country. It was great. I had a really good time and it was really positive. And yes, so she will be coming down to Ipswich next week. And she is going to come down to the dip.
Is she bringing any friends with her?
Stop all this fucking chatter because she fucking.
What, got a friendly guy.
She fucking listens to this podcast.
I'm a friendly guy. I just want to meet her friend. If she's important to you, her friends and family are important to me.
That's so terrible. But yes, no, I had a wicked time, and went done some dips in the Tyne as well. Holy shit, that was cold.
Freezing. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, really fucking cold. That was awesome. Just such fun. And yeah, but bringing in the new year, 2023, who knows what it will bring?
Well, I know Dare to Talk is going to go boom even more in 2023. Had some lovely, lovely messages over Christmas, which has really inspired me to keep going with this, and yeah, just really overwhelming and lovely, and it's just mad. I find it strange that people listen to us, like not just in Felixstowe, like in different places and that. But I love it, and it's only going to get bigger and better. And I hope these truly inspirational stories inspire more and more people and really do help people out. So that's what it's all about. Hearing back from people that is helping them is so rewarding for me as well. One of my goals in life now is just to help other people, and to hear that's been really nice. It's made my Christmas. So yeah, we need to get off this because we're going on a live on Instagram for the first time in 20 minutes.
I don't really know how this is going to work, Sam, but we'll figure it out. I suppose it's another one of those things. We'll try and see how it goes. But yes,
think of it as a podcast.
Yeah, 2023. We've got to try new things and we've got to keep going. So
yeah,
as always, like and subscribe, YouTube, Spotify. Follow me on Instagram at JackieBoyShep and follow Sam at
Dare_2_dip.
You still paused. Follow ask to join the Dare to Dip Facebook group. Amazing bunch of people, as always. They were down there every day through December with Sam. There is always a group down there every morning, 6:30 during the week, 7:30 at the weekends. Like and subscribe, share. Big things coming in 2023. We continue on, and I did actually say, no, hang on.
Go in.
I agreed that I would. Well, no, I haven't agreed. I haven't even told you this yet. My New Year's resolution is that I am going to be the one to sign out from the podcast each time, and I will be adding in. No,
I think you should make a New Year's resolution to say words properly. Okay, goodbye.